Hi Team We Run, Coach Alexa here for Reading, South Oxfordshire and online. Kind of coming to the end of my series on keeping running simple and some of the pros but also some of the cons about starting to get too immersed in the detail and the tech. So a couple of things that I wanted to just reflect back on. One of them came up in another conversation with one of my one-to-one runners earlier today, and that is some of the stuff that our apps and watches spit out from their algorithms based on our training data. And the one that irks me the most is Garmin telling people that what they just did is unproductive. I hate it as a piece of terminology because going out and doing some form of exercise or activity is never unproductive, right? It's always going to have a beneficial effect on our overall physical health. It is a form of training, a stimulus. It will therefore have a positive effect on our fitness, as well as our medium and longer term health and well-being on a more general basis, and of course our brains and our mental health as well. So unproductive, quite frankly, is a load of rubbish. And even from a sort of practical perspective, even if it is trying to tell you perhaps that you're in a different phase of your training, or you might be tapering or recovering at the moment, surely that's better language that we could use. But what I've found from working with a good number of runners over a few years, with the popularity of Garmin watches in particular, and also some digging into the algorithm that Garmin use, is that algorithm that comes up with productive or unproductive really values speed work over endurance work. So, you know, if I'm really upping the ante with your speed training, for example, to get your 5K time down, then it will probably like that. If I'm really upping the ante on your endurance base for a marathon or an ultra, it's probably not going to like that quite as much. Now, you know, that's just the way the algorithm works. That's what they've biased it towards. So I know it is easier said than done, but please don't pay attention to judgy watchers, flawed algorithms, and very poor choice of terminology on Garmin's part. To flip slightly, but I thought I'd also share, there's been some interesting research into exercise-based social media. And the study couldn't name it, but basically what it was looking at there was Strava. We're looking at you. Now, Strava is an interesting one because it encourages competitiveness, you know, with the, you know, segments and you know, being the leaderboard for segments on run routes. The way, you know, it encourages people to interact with each other is, you know, oh, that's your best 10K, oh, it's your best 5K or mile or whatever, is encouraging us to be almost competitive with ourselves and with other people on our training runs. And I have a little bit of a fundamental problem with that, because everybody's training run should be each have a specific goal for each training run. And if I've got a runner that's trying to beat a segment time on a long run, then they're really not getting the benefits that they should be getting out of that long run, because they're trying to do it too quickly. But this study that I mentioned specifically found a very strong link between Strava, exercise-based social media, mostly Strava, use and overtraining. And it's for precisely that reason, that it encourages to be competitive, almost in a sense racing, in our training runs. So if you look, you know, at a competitive athlete, and people say, oh, you know, they're a completely different picture to me, you know, that's their job. Yes, it is their job, and they don't have to do anything else. They're, you know, taking their rest and recovery and nutrition. They've got a massage therapist. They've got all it on tap. So arguably, we have to take our training more seriously than them, because they are incredibly well looked after, whereas we're juggling all sorts of other stuff. You know, we need to be specific about our training. We need to be going slow when the goal is to go slow in order to build endurance. We need to be resting, recovering, or taking things easy when we should be, and we should not be racing too often or doing sessions where we're really pushing ourselves. It's all about that balance. Yes, faster sessions are absolutely fantastic, but that's not what we should be doing in anywhere near the majority of our training runs. So, like with everything, with all of this sort of technology, social media, algorithms, we're kind of conducting a quite fancy and slightly biased, with no control group, experiment on ourselves en masse these days with all of this stuff. So I just thought it would be worth pointing those to the biggest ones that I come across the most as the sort of downsides of the tech from a more sort of broad perspective, as opposed to some of the specifics that I went through in previous videos in this little group. Anyway, food for thought. Happy running.